I'm feeling good tonight. Finally feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but I answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carbon night's off me, I'm living life now that I'm free, yeah. Told me get myself together, now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather, better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy, the carbon night is gone. I'm moving on, I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. Cover up my eyes, I'm jumping in my ride, I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo, I'm hot solo, I'm hot solo, I'm hot solo, solo. Picking up my blaster, putting it on my side, I'm jumping in my Falcon, Wookie at my side. I'm solo, I'm hot solo, I'm hot solo, I'm hot solo, solo. I'm hot.
All right, I think it's working. I cut it short because you and I watched the whole thing once before, so. But it looks like it's streaming on all the things, so I don't know what I did wrong. So
I don't. Did we ever click live?
I clicked live. I clicked live.
Well, here now. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I think I clicked live. So let me.
I think we're both suffering from hibernation sickness or something.
Yeah, let me restate that. I think I clicked live. Okay, let's see. We got the overlay on the chat, so I think we're good. We got one person watching, which is probably one of mine, but it looks like we're on Facebook Live. I think it says we're live on YouTube. I'm sure
rumors and hearsay, that's all it is.
Yes, we're live on YouTube. And it says we're live on Instagram, but I have no clue how to figure that out. So I'll trust the Instagram gods. So
IGG.
Yes, yeah, there we go. All right. So let's first, Ken, anyone tell us where they can find you?
Sure thing. So Ken Bishop on Facebook, the Rambling Star Wars Fan on Instagram and YouTube. Not YouTube. I haven't been on YouTube yet. I apologize. iHeartRadio and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Plus, we have a newer show called Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy with Todd and Ken, and we're in the process of putting our pieces together for an episode about the Sith Wars.
Nice. Is that the big diorama in Plagueis or in Palpatine's
office? It might have been one of the Sith Wars.
So
how about you when you're not on flying around with me here?
Hinton Star Wars Family at YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, TikTok, Inflatable Falcon. I help Zoe with her podcast, Star Wars Geek Girl. I don't know if they've had an episode come out lately. I hate to harass her when she calls, but yeah, the summer busyness for her and Lizzie are, and the acolyte's over. They have to get some more stuff going. So,
did you film any videos while you were out visiting with her?
I didn't as much as I thought I was going to. I just, again, I think I said this on last week's show or just said it to you personally. I was sitting watching so many people on their phones at Batuu. I made a conscious effort to just enjoy. Now I regret it now because I wish I would have taken more pictures and videos. But it was kind of nice not making it work, But I'll when I go to Batuu East, I'll film some more.
There you go.
So, and I'll just say it's Batuu West. I'll just lie. I don't think there's as many lightsabers at Batuu East.
You mean available for purchase, or
no, just people walking around with them. Like there were I would say a third of the people were walking around lightsabers at a certain point. Like especially when it got to evening, there was lightsabers everywhere at Batuu West. So,
yeah, one of these times I want to get to one of those Star Wars meetups at Batuu, where they have the special photographer, and they have like 150 people dressed in costume and everything.
Yeah. So, costume wise, Have you done any costume work?
Yeah, I did a whole lot of nothing this week.
Ah,
We had we have some work going on at the house,
that's nice.
siding and windows, and so it was not the week to get anything done like that, unfortunately. How about with you?
Well, Safi and her friend were working on their Mando helmets, and I told either of them, I said, if you make it pristine, I'll make a mold on it. Because the old me would have said, "Hey, let me do it, and then I'll make a mold." I was like, I don't feel like saying. But I was messing with the resin printer, printed some more Greeblies, and then I went to print my Vader box, and not watching what I was doing, I set the resin tank on my workbench, and there was a grain of sand there, and it poked a hole in the bottom of my resin tank. So, if you know anything about liquid resin printers, it's a thin plastic film that it's a replaceable thin plastic film, but I poked a hole in it. I didn't see it. I ran it with my Vader box. When I went to pull it off, it was fused to the printer because the resin leaked out and fused our lens. So I took it apart and cleaned it. It's back to normal, but I just got the new lens material about 2 hours before we record here. So
Oh, geez.
that's my only gripe with the liquid resin printers is if you're used to filament resin or filament printing, it's it's tougher. Like you can rip it off the print bed and start working. These are, it's a little more. I have to be a little more delicate. You know, it's like making cupcakes for your kids versus making a wedding cake. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
they don't have to be perfectly shaped or
yeah,
completely
yeah,
cooled.
yeah. You know,
We'll put the frosting on it while it's still warm, and it just all melts down the side.
yeah. So it's a little more precision all around. Like when I worked on cars all the time. The one kid I knew, his dad called me a motorcycle mechanic, which is not a compliment. Like because we worked out of tin cans and a dirt basement, and you know what I mean, dirt floor and stuff. Like and so I'm like the motorcycle mechanic of 3D printing at the moment, but I'm getting better. But yeah, I worked a little bit on the Vader stuff. I started getting files together because I have this green resin and this red resin. So when I open it up, I'm just going to print a whole bunch of stuff. Like I think I'm going to print some kryptonite rocks for Superman, and I'm going to print some, different stuff. I got the wash tank and everything. So the resin printing is. I wish it wasn't like I wish you could have it in your house and not worry about toxic fumes and stuff. But the resin printer, it's a lot of fun, and the price of a resin printer is pretty inexpensive for the smaller ones. So
We should get together and do a super secret armor party this summer.
yeah. Well, I still got a month off, and other than I think next week's like my busiest time, just because me and Safi are heading south. But besides that, I'm open. I still want to get a Tuscan done. I keep the Tuscan stuff I keep moving it around because I'm just trying to stay focused. Just work on Vader stuff. Just when you have time, work on Vader. But I keep looking at that Tuscan. I was like, oh, I should just wrap that face. Just wrap the face this morning. That's my what I think I should do. So, and I got I worked on some C-3PO Greeblies for a gentleman in England, I think somewhere. So I did a hand for him, and I got to mess around with that. So I just I finally got like Missy and I every year we make a big list of stuff we need to get done over the summer, and then summer starts and we have like a page list, of things. And so we've got that down to like 2 things now, and they're probably fall jobs because they're just so outside intensive that I don't feel like doing them outside. So I got all my summer stuff done. That's so I get back on it and get moving again. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old, but the heat is really destroying me. Because I was going to say, did you troop any? And
No.
That heat I'm like, I'm not going to do a parade. I see people like, oh, does anyone want to do a parade? There's no way, So yeah, I haven't trooped any, which I'm kind of missing trooping. Which brings me to we have a bunch of topics to talk about tonight, but for those that going out and trooping, I would like to. I'm curious of what people's favorite trooping things are. So, because I think I was talking to you, and I might have been, I don't know who else I was talking to about trooping. It could have been Josh or someone. But I was saying, like, I miss the after eats for trooping and stuff like that. But I was trying to think of, like, if someone said, what's your favorite, like, what kind of troop would be the best troop? And cons do not fall into that for me. I don't know about you.
For me, I would definitely not put conventions at the tip top of the list. They're fun.
Yeah.
For various reasons, but for me, I think my favorite kind of troops are those smaller community events.
Yes.
Where the costume folks, there's more of an exciting draw. Like, for instance, they do a couple events a couple times a year down at this Air and Space Museum in Wildwood.
Right.
And I think it's called the Air Naval Museum or something. I apologize for butchering the name. I've been to it a couple times. It's not a big place. However, it has full-size helicopters, full-size boats, full-size airplanes inside this building. And then the other tables there are like craft tables and things along those lines. So the costumers really stand out, and you're not the only other quote unquote celebrity that you're competing with is in the fall. They do one that's a holiday themed one, and so you're competing with Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's a tough compete.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite times ever trooping that event there was a very few Mandos there. If there was one, there might have been four.
Yeah.
And there was a handful of other Star Wars characters. But this one family just kept coming back to the booth and getting pictures and coming back to the booth and getting pictures. And so Heather and I decided to wander around, and we were wandering by where Santa Claus was, and there's this huge line for photographs. They had a photographer there and helping out with pictures and everything. And as I'm going past, this family that had been coming back and back to the Star Wars table, grabbed onto my shoulder and said, "Will you get in our picture with us? We're going to get our picture taken with Santa, and we want you there with Santa." So I mean,
that's like the best Christmas card ever.
Yeah, like, this is just cool because my Mando kit is very simple. It's black flight suit, black cape, and then just plain Beskar armor from head to toe. And they wanted me to be with them. Not me personally. It wasn't Ken, but they wanted, my costumed character to be with them and Santa Claus in the photograph. And so it's those smaller events where there's a little bit more excitement for the costumers than if you're going to an event and you're competing with, Chris Hemsworth or, any of the other, Hayden Christensen or.
Yeah.
How about for you?
I'm in the same boat because I've just been thinking about this because this will show how long I've been trooping. When I first started trooping, we would do events and people didn't know they should bring a camera. Like we'd do like a symphony event, and people didn't realize there was going to be Star Wars characters there. And no one if you were lucky, some rich people had a flip phone that took like a super crappy picture, like we're talking like 2007, and it was so neat. Like you'd have people, like someone would pull a camera out of their pocket or someone, you'd hear that from the, and it was, and I think of like some of my favorites. We did not too terribly long ago. We did a cancer walk. It was for cancer survivors and their pets. It's like a half K or I don't know what it was. They walked around a field and we changed outside. Like they were like, we showed up and they give us a pup tent. Like you take your kids camping. Like it'd be the tent you give your two like 10-year-old kids to camp in. They give us that for me, Boba Fett and Chewie to change in. You know what I mean? And we're like, yeah, we're fine. We didn't make a big deal of it. We just changed our cars. Some handlers helped us put our totes back in. We locked them up. And that was probably one of the best. They didn't give us any water. They had shirts that said Star Paws. We had to buy them because it was all, to raise money.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of my favorite troops. It was And it was like that. It was the people were surprised we were there, because just like you said, when you're in a con, you're competing with everyone. You're also, sometimes if you get a whole bunch of troopers, and I'm not saying anything bad about any of the costuming groups, but then they almost compete against each other. And you have new people feeling awkward because, their stormtroopers bucket isn't the right, this, whatever. And this was just, people were just happy. Like when there's a line to get pictures with me as a TK in an FX kit from 07, like that was that was fun. And I hope that the people, like anyone, if you could chime in, hopefully our chats are working. But if anyone's in any of the costuming groups, if you have a favorite event, like some of the library events, depending on how they're run, I like library events sometimes, because I've done some library events in like little tiny libraries in towns where some of those kids will never get to Disney. Some of those kids will never get to a comic book convention. So it's the closest they get. And I'm not knocking comic book conventions either. They're still fun to do, but I think of those troops that are not ridiculously long. I've done some. Now, one of my favorite bigger events is Air and Scare.
Yeah, and that's I thought I recently learned that this year it's the 26th.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what I read. I could be wrong, but I think they've already put the date out for that. And I want to put in a lot of effort to get to that this year.
Yeah, I would recommend anyone trooping to, because Air and Scare is also a good example of a giant event done with organizational skill of a whole bunch of selfless people. Like the people that there's a person that has to sit there and run a spreadsheet all day to make sure people are in the right spot. And if that was me, I'd be pretty cranky by the end of the day. And they're just as, you know what I mean? Like they have it working really well, and it's a fun event for everyone.
The other thing I'd put at the top of my list, and this wasn't for public consumption, but it's really, really close to my heart, and it's when you and Marty and Ned and Chad and
the wedding,
Abby, went to the wedding.
Oh yeah.
And I love it for a bunch of reasons.
I do remember. We remember Rural Farm Boy.
Of course we do. Haven't seen him in a while. But the wedding happened because I went to work dressed as a Jedi. It happened on May 4th. It was a day of the week, and I had asked for permission from my boss if I could dress as a Jedi, and she shook her head and said, "Sure." Just kind of like,
you're going to come into work still, right?
Yeah, and that was a day where I was teaching. Like I was teaching 3 or 4 classes in one day. The same class spaced out throughout the course of the day. And I had Star Wars helmets in the front of the room. Like I had a couple X-Wing pilot helmets. I had a TK helmet. I think I may even had the Black Series Boba Fett helmet, and then a bunch of lightsabers in case people wanted to take pictures, because it was Star Wars Day. And one of the people in the class, who was a coworker, and I was still somewhat fresh in the organization. They asked if I knew anybody that would wear costumes to go to a party or something like that. I said, yeah, sure. What kind of party do you have in mind? Because I'm like, I just want to make sure this is the right party. And she said that one of our coworkers was getting married, and they had a Star Wars themed wedding. And she was one of the bridal party members who was arranging things behind the scenes. And so you and I put all this time into getting this group of people together, and the bride and groom didn't know we were coming.
Oh, I know that. I tell you, and maybe that epitomizes what you and I both like about our troops. It's because you say you're not competing with anything, but I think it's that surprise when you're there, and people that haven't seen us in costume. Because I remember when my boss, we did a library event for one of our schools, and up until then, my boss borderline harassed me that I dressed as a stormtrooper because he didn't understand. But he was a big Star Wars fan, but he was, you know what I mean? Like he just thought I was weird. We did that event. He couldn't get enough pictures with us. like there's every picture of him grinning like a fool. Like he was just so, because he didn't understand. He thought we were one step above a string mask and a stormtrooper on a
yeah,
thing.
the vinyl thing.
What's a favorite of yours, Rural Farm Boy? What do you think? If you've in the past, that's kind of good, because I think sometimes the people running the groups, if they haven't, I think especially since COVID, there's been a less variety of events. Like a lot of the events haven't opened back up since COVID, if that makes sense. Like I feel like we had more variety than we did, because I think just groups were just less leery of like, yeah, maybe we just don't want a bunch of people walking around.
Well, I think on the other end of that, it might be the costuming clubs are being a little bit more selective about which ones that they post, which ones they
could be
they agree to participate in.
Yeah,
because I've heard some people say, "Oh, I don't want to go there because they don't have X," or "I don't want to go to that place because it's too far away from my house," which is fine if you don't want to go to it. But there may be other members of this club who it's closer to. I mean, this Naval Museum in Wildwood, New Jersey, for me, it's like 45 minutes, roughly speaking, maybe an hour, depending on traffic, which is equidistant to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But there were many of the New Jersey Mandos, they live closer to New York City, which is, 2.5, 3 hours away. So they don't want to do this event down here. But for me, it's a hop, skip.
They just don't want to drive uphill on the way home.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, yeah. Yeah, so Rural Farm Boy, let's see. Yeah, so Rural Farm Boy, you did West Virginia. I still wear my FX armor. I mean, I changed the bucket out, but I still wear my FX armor. As long as I've been doing this, I technically still only have one approvable armor that was approved on January 17th, 2007. it's the same, and it's still holding up. I mean, if I'm not careful, if you stand next to new ones, I look like a dead tooth Jedi. I mean, a stormtrooper. I'm just a little slightly yellow, but it does the job. So I know one of these days I'm just going to break out one of my FX kits and just do it. I just know how I am. I'll do it one of these days. But cutting armor is just one of those things where I don't look forward to it. Like, I don't mind making stuff, but my new bucket for my FX, I have no clue who it is. I bought that right after I bought my FX kit. But I've had that bucket. I changed that bucket in, probably 2016 or so. I just got tired of not being able to move my neck because I got a short. I don't know does your neck get shorter as you get older, or maybe my shoulders are getting fatter.
No, there is some science to the compression of your discs in between your vertebrae over time.
Yeah, just because the FX kit, like, you couldn't move. I think FX is passable, but you have to have a different helmet. It all depends on your garrison. Because once you're in, you're grandfathered in. Like, if I wanted to wear the FX helmet, I could. But I got tired of not being able to move my head. I was like, if I wanted to do that, I'd just be a Royal Guard. So,
but yeah, there's something really fun about going to events where the love of Star Wars is there, the excitement of Star Wars is there.
Yeah.
It's almost, as goofy as this might sound, it's pure. Like, this is just fun.
When you have, like, I mean, I know I'm closer to this age now, but when I first started trooping, there'd be like some 70-year-old grandmother that would come and grab your hand. And she was like, "Oh, I don't have my camera. My grandson would love this." She knew who you were. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I agree. I mean, again, my wife's parents, who I doubt ever watched Star Wars. They might have watched it. Like, they might have kind of watched it with us when the kids were big. But her dad and mom went to a library event. Zoe was probably 9, maybe. and she was the MC of the library. She had her vest on with all the different Star Wars patches, and she MC'd the whole library event. And ever since they went and saw us in the pictures, Safi was a Jawa. Her dad, Missy's dad, loved coming to events. Like, this was foreign to him. Like, he would come to FreeCon. He just liked seeing the interaction of the people with us up until the day he passed. He would come to Free Comic Book Day. You know, like, I don't think the man ever picked up a comic book in his life. You know, and that was,
well,
like,
he probably got it in the Sunday papers. The funny
probably. But I'm saying, like, that was just a cool part of troops, and not saying it's not that way for other people, but I would recommend, if anyone's out there is in a garrison and you can pull together these small events. Like, one of the last events that I really remember was Zoe's freshman year. I think it was right the year Force Awakens came out. It was the spring after Force Awakens came out. The band director for her school worked there 30 some years. He was retiring, and he was doing a John Williams tribute. And so he said, I can get Star Wars characters. And again, he was at, oh, sure, whatever. We got Star Wars characters. And when they played the John Williams, the Force Awakens theme, Kylo and Rey battled down the aisles. And people were in awe. And then Chewie, C-3PO, and R2 show up. To us, you know what I mean? It was, and the concert was so good. Then we had to leave because the concert was like an hour and a half. We were there almost 2 hours just getting pictures with people after the concert. They're like, we have to close the school. You guys have to leave. You know. So yeah, spring of 2016. So yeah, that was, man, that's going to be, I mean, Force Awakens soon is 9 years old. So
yeah, I mean, this year we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Which brings us to our topic of the night. I need a topic of the night ticker, don't I? Where are we at? Captions. Troop time. No, I should put troop time on there. All right. We don't always, well, we'll put it, I don't know. I got
one troop that I would like to do while you're working on that ticker. Yeah. I want to put out into the universe. I want to go to one of the pediatric hospital events.
Yes,
like, that's one that I would add, or the one that John talks about out in Ohio, where it's kind of like a prom event.
Yeah,
I'd like to go to an event like that as well.
Yeah, and see, that's where I think, again, I'm not knocking any of the groups, but I think the groups that put way too much effort lately into cons and have missed some of these, you know. And like you said, people don't want to drive, but if you put good events like that, people will drive, you know. Like,
well, it's not, I think sometimes too, the thing that folks get from the event is more important than the event. Well, what I mean by this is, like, for instance, conventions. Sometimes some people want to go to these events so that they can be seen by as many people, or they could get this free ticket to see the celebrities and everything, which I understand, and it makes sense. But when that's your driving force for going to the event, you're missing the giving part of it. This is, like, for instance, that wedding. That was us giving pure joy.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't even think we got, like, wedding cake.
No. We got in every wedding cake photo, but
yes, we danced with grandmoms and uncles and like kids, and it was just so much fun. But there was nothing from the event that was given to us, and I walked out of there feeling so full. You know, I just, it was wonderful, and to this day, Lucia talks about it.
Yeah.
She thanks me to this day for getting everybody there and surprising her and her husband.
Well,
that was several years ago at this point.
And listen, at conventions, you can do the same thing. There can be a family who just stuck every penny they could to take their 9, 10, 8-year-old, 16-year-old to a convention, and a picture with you that didn't cost them anything is going to be that added bonus. So we're not saying that can't happen, but I do think I relate way too much of this crap to the cave and Empire Strikes Back, you know. But I do believe what you take into anything dictates what comes out.
Yeah.
You know. And again, we did that wedding. That was just fun. Like, and then when it's a surprise, when someone tells you it's a surprise, that's even better. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like we did a wedding in Maryland that was really neat. Now they knew we were coming, but that was so neat. Let me see. Oh yeah. The again the hospital visits, and I also think some of those, I think some of those other ones are a little harder to set up. You know, and again, we're all volunteers, so sometimes the people just don't have the skill set to set things up like that. I mean, there's a little more involved, I think, sometimes with a hospital visit. I think,
Oh yeah,
especially,
because especially most recently, you have to make sure that, like, even pre-pandemic, it was everybody had to have the flu shot, and they had to
yeah,
have proof of the flu shot.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, because at least the event that I went to, I handled an event, but I wasn't in costume,
yeah,
which was equally fun. Different level of fun, but still equal.
yeah,
It was enjoyable. But I wasn't allowed up on the patient floors with the folks in costume because I had a limited number and so on. But now that I have a costume that's approved and everything, I would love to do one of those kind of events.
yeah. I did a hospice event one time for a gentleman, Star Wars fan, and it was a moving one. Like, you know, he was a big fan. So, and I think my first event was a Make-A-Wish ever. My first event, we were just marched out and gives a kid something and then marched back. But that was my first ever event.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the cons were the first thing to return post COVID, and they're easy. You know, I mean, I hope that it branches out into more stuff. Not again. I'm not saying this to bash all. I understand it's a pain in the neck to set up events and all that stuff. And the people like me and Ken who troop, we're happy that they set up events for us. But it is nice to occasionally listen to what people have done in the past. Not all the past is bad, not all the past is good, but you should know what was done in the past. And that's just, you know, and I'd like to see more troopers come out. I just, you know, to events, but I think I liked my last con with you, Ken, was probably one of my favorite cons, where we just kind of hung out and got to be Mike and Ken, the Mike and Ken show
The
for.
fan expo, yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Zoe put in for a something at LA Comic Con.
Oh, that's cool. As a panel?
Yeah, I don't know if she'll get it 'cause she put in late, but that's not. I think it's in October. So
That's very cool.
yeah, I mean that's the plus side to that is it gives me a deadline to get her live action Sabine done. I work way better with deadlines. You know, I need hard and fast deadlines. That's how I am at work, and if I think because I'm that way at work, sometimes I just let home, just like just, you know, and then I don't get anything done. So, and Rural Farm Boy asked about my helmet. Honestly, I don't know where my helmet's from. My Sand Trooper helmet is made by the ones Trey's selling from Delaware. Who? Oh man, I forget. It's tiny though. It's nice. My Sand Trooper one, but I cut my nose almost every other time I put it on. Like every time we filmed the Solo Chronicles, I wind up having a cut right across the front of my nose just from putting it on. It's just so tight. Or my nose is too big, one or the other. All right, but well, before we get on the topic, Ken, I did send you those pictures of that landscape near, not too far from the cliffs with that.
Yeah, the waterfalls place.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. That would be a good starting point for a small action movie, like
or
a
even
land.
just some great shots, some great photographs.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I haven't heard anything about the Star Wars Chronicles, but those listening, please check out the Han Solo Chronicles with. I actually give the address. I give the address to one of the guys at the hotel we were in when we were in California. Rural Farmer, are there? Walt's Trooper Factory seems to be the one to go for a TK anymore. I wish John was here because didn't John get a Walt's Trooper Factory kit?
I thought he talked about it. I don't know if he actually pulled the trigger and did it or not.
I think he did, but then he wound up selling it to his dad or something. I forget how that worked. I don't know. But yeah, Walt's Trooper Factory. I think it's Walt's that bought one of the originals or something. I don't understand how that all works, but I think Walt's, he was promoting something where he had bought one of the original TK, either things they cast off of, or he paid for permission to cast an original. I don't know, but Walt's Trooper Factory is probably who. Stay away from 3D printed TK helmets because it's hard to make them match your ABS. But besides that, that's my public service Stormtrooper. The Onovos kits. If you can get a hold of an Onovos kit, or is it Dianovos? How's that said?
Dianovos. That's the new name.
Dianovos is good. I mean, I have a that's a Dianovos Sabine helmet, and back in our YouTube, I did a review of them. Their stuff is nice, and their TKs aren't crazy priced. I don't know what their shipping time is on them, but I think they're better than a Novos. Yeah. Oh, RS Prop Masters I think is really good, but don't they come from England? I think I have an RS Prop Masters. What's his name? Ezra's lightsaber, the pistol.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it's an RS Prop Masters that Chris Freed had given Zoe for graduation.
So you don't really have it.
I have it in my house right now. It's all mine until she takes it.
Yeah, possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah. It's
that's
hers.
The lessons I learned as a kid.
It's hers, but as long as it's in my house, I'm going to say it's mine. It's just like all these Sabine helmets behind me. I bought them, I painted them, but they're not mine. Yeah, RS is really good, but some of those prop guys in London and stuff, man, they're it takes forever now. I think post, but they're supposed to be good. Anyway, Ken, so we were already 38 minutes and we haven't maybe got to our topic. We should have got some COs of some of the costuming groups for that talk. That was a side like 5-minute that turned into a better show than I thought we were going to do. But so I was going to talk about Star Wars TV, but maybe we'll hold off on that. Let's just talk about the skeleton group.
Well, I mean that fits into that category of Star Wars TV.
Well, you and I are in the same boat with Star Wars TV. I think is more is always better.
More is always better, and one of the things I think is really fun about Star Wars TV is it gives us opportunities to get different kinds of stories in that TV.
Yes,
so it can be a couple episodes that are mysterious, or a whole series, or a whole show that's mysterious, like The Acolyte, or it can be more dramatic, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it also gives us the opportunity to get more makers involved. So when you look at something like The Mandalorian, we had 3 seasons of it, and there were some goofy bits. There were some action-packed bits, like we got to see live action jetpack battles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I still think the opening battle with that giant lizard turtle.
Yeah. Space crocodile or whatever it is.
Oh, that was crazy.
And we also get a chance to, going back to the more makers, it can be more directors, it can be, more musical people. I mean, think about all of the people now that we've listened to over the course of Star Wars history. And yes, we can't forget or shouldn't forget John Williams. He's given us, Star Wars music for, what is it, like 9 movies now, 10 movies if you add in a little bit of of Solo. I don't think he did all of the music for that. I thought that was what Michael Giacchino for Solo.
Yeah,
Or was that Rogue One?
you're talking to the wrong person when it comes to like music. I just like listening to the music. That's like, you know, whoops, I got my but yeah, I definitely I agree with you. I just like the variety. Like I honestly thought when Star Wars Visions came out, that was going to be the only way we got tons of variety. Because that series. But if you look at it, we have so much variety just like you said, just in Mandalorian alone.
Yep.
But then you talk Kenobi and you talk Andor. It's even great that I actually have to think a minute to remember all the shows. Ahsoka, But my only wonder with Star Wars television is, do you like? I think of the Acolyte, and there were so many haters. Do you wonder if they're ever going to just release an entire season all at once?
Well, I mean,
would that have changed the Acolyte haters at first?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think?
No, what's that phrase? Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
I mean, so here's my next idea. This is a preview for the next episode of the Rambling Star Wars Fan. It's going to be a point counterpoint episode where, because unfortunately I don't know these other podcasters and YouTubers well enough to say, hey, let's have a conversation about this. Nor do I think many of them, especially the ones that are, at the upper tier where they're, they have 1 million followers or whatever. I don't think any of them would be willing to have the conversation with a show like ours where we have tens of listeners.
Yes. We have dozens, maybe.
Yeah. Well, if you add them all together.
Yeah. If you add them all together and count them twice, we have dozens.
Yeah. And it might be dozen. And we'll just put a Z on it for dozens.
Yeah.
I would love to just have a conversation, not a debate, because from my perspective, a debate is you got a winner and a loser. And I'd much rather have it be just a conversation.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could get someone to dramatically read those people's points.
That's a great idea.
Like just sculpt it around their points and get someone to dramatically, or you could read it and give Ken with a goatee, like the old Star Trek,
like handlebar mustache. Yes. And I'm glad we're recording this because I probably wouldn't remember this tomorrow. But I want it to be a point counterpoint, and because, for instance, going back to this idea of folks are going to hate what they're going to hate, regardless. There were people that were making criticisms about the Acolyte, not based on what was on the screen, but based on their opinions of what they thought happened behind the scenes. Like they were making claims that they couldn't understand why the Acolyte, they paid $180 million for it, and it sucked, but the Obi-Wan Kenobi show only got $90 million to make it, and they should have given it $300 million. So it was like, I don't even really understand what they're saying, but they were still saying those kind of things.
Well, and so the Acolyte reinforced something for me. These are the same people that are saying, well, they fired this actor because of what they were putting on social media. That's terrible. But we're going to hate this show because what these actors put on social media about a previous movie. They just unproved their argument for, you know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, and Rural Fireboy brings up a very interesting point that the haters are already saying that the Skeleton Crew is going to be bad.
Now, listen, I saw a trailer for Skeleton Crew. And I was actually looking for the clip today, but I got sidetracked of what the show we did when I came back from London. And I was going on about how I like Skeleton Crew. I was going to make a headliner for it, If they give it, if it's even looks as half as good as the trailer, like I saw the trailer for Acolyte and I was excited, but I was never like a lightsaber guy. I always liked like the rundown ships and the Han Solo piratist kind of things. Um, but this show looks like it's. I think what I'm excited about is it's going to be what Grogu did for Mando. You know, like it brought in people that normally wouldn't have sat and watched a weekly Star Wars show. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like my wife likes Star Wars and she tolerates, all of our Star Wars stuff. But she couldn't wait to watch Mando, because of Grogu and I think the Skeleton Crew is going to do the same because you have kids, you have a Jedi that, like, honestly, he I could easily do that costume and it wouldn't be a far fetch. You know what I mean? He's like a scruffy, older looking guy. I don't have, I don't look like him, but I could, what I'm saying? Like it's like an everyman kind of, you know. I mean, if he is a Jedi, I don't want to, you know.
Did you already identify him? Did you already?
They didn't identify him as
his
a
religious
Jedi
preference
in the thing, but I just think it's going to be a good. I think it'll be a fun show. I mean, and that's what all the shows should be, shouldn't they? Shouldn't they just be fun?
Well, and that's what I find most interesting about that is that many of the folks who spew the hate are so invested in spewing the hate that they're not able to see what's actually right in front of them. I mean, it's right there on the screen.
Yeah.
We're watching the same things that they're watching, but they're not looking at the same things. They're not looking at the same pieces. And in fact, I think some of them go out of their way to look for things to hate. I mean, I've listened to some of these folks who claim to be Star Wars experts, that they know the Force better than anybody. Like, this is all made up. So,
well, and honestly, apparently the woman that did the writing for the Acolyte knows Star Wars a lot better than most of us, because that metal, like I never even knew of that, and I mean that was I just keep thinking of that. Like because when I first watched it, I was like, are the Jedi's lightsabers just crappier back then? Like I was just, I was waiting to see them like pull out more D cells or something.
Yeah. Well, the other piece to that I think is very, very curious. So the comment of, well, specifically Leslie Headland, because they some of the haters will pick a person and that becomes the focus of their fire. They say that Leslie Headland doesn't understand Star Wars. And while it's true, Leslie Headland was the showrunner and she directed a couple episodes of The Acolyte, she didn't direct all of them.
Right.
And she, like Rian Johnson, like J.J. Abrams, like Bryce Dallas Howard, like Ron Howard, they didn't just make these things on their own. They worked with the team.
With Dave.
Yeah, with all of them. They worked with Pablo Hidalgo, with Leland Shee, with Doug Chang, Phil Tippett. They worked with all of these people, many of them who worked directly with George.
Yep.
And got approval to put this stuff on screen. So the stuff that shows up on screen didn't just appear there out of thin air.
Right.
And the story behind Rogue One is a wonderful example of, what they had stuff and the makers behind the scenes says, we're not going to put that out. So the stuff that we're seeing has been approved by the people.
Even Solo, they were like, look, we're not going to put out crap just because you shot it already. And I still think Solo is one of the missed out gems.
See, for me, I'm for the Disney stuff, I'm still waiting for the J.W. Rinsler level in-depth story behind the story. I mean, you could probably have a 4-hour documentary on Solo and how it came to be. and this group of people that sits behind the scenes that works with the makers, whether it's Leslie Headland or Rick Famuyiwa or Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau, it is a collaborative team effort, and what shows up is a result of all of their efforts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's not just Leslie Headland saying, "Oh, this is the Star Wars that I want out there," and even going so far as, some people have made really nasty, hurtful comments about the makers. Like they say that Leslie's woke and that she
Usually, when I see that word in anything Star, I'm just like, okay.
that she's woke and she just wanted this as an extension or to fill a need that her therapist doesn't fill or whatever. Like, where are these accusations coming from other than a place of legitimate hate? And so they're really missing the beauty that we see. They're missing the creativity, even going so far as to say they're missing the connections that have been made to those other things because they're so blinded by this desire to pick apart, to criticize, to speak negatively about.
Well, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy the people that might not necessarily agree with certain Star Wars things, but then make something else their own. Like, okay, look, if you don't, that's fine. Like do this. Or the people in general that just make Star Wars stuff, whether it's costumes, whether it's movies. Like I think of, the Han Solo Chronicles, stuff like that.
But even that, there's the risk of, because I make this, because I have the ability to make this fan film, Disney should have picked me to make.
Well, that's true too. But
I mean, there are some of the popular YouTubers and Instagrammers and TikTokers and podcasters who will say, they should have given me $180 million and I would have made a better thing. Even I think it was The Last Jedi. People put together a petition to have the or maybe it was a GoFundMe, or maybe
no, they had a on one of the petition sites. I forget what it's called. You had to have it retconned, and because that's the one I took. I took the wording and reworded it that they should make Kanan's haircut be uncanon, and I just rewrote as a joke.
Yeah, and so in some way, it doesn't take away from my fun of Star Wars or my love of Star Wars, and it also creates this unnecessary noise, this unnecessary friction. Even, and this is, we earlier were talking about conventions. That's one of the things I dislike about the big conventions is sometimes you'll have people will come up to you, say, I can't believe that you.
Oh my God, you and I had that happen like a couple times. They're like, "Wow, we're sitting with Star Wars everything," and they start like, where did it say like I hate,
Yeah, you must hate Kathleen Kennedy, though, right?
You definitely didn't come to me in Ken's panel, that's for sure.
Or even like Heather and Heather and I have been at the same place, and I've managed to step into it because I wear something Star Wars, or I'm looking at something Star Wars, and people will come up and say, "Oh yeah, J.J. Abrams, crapped on my childhood," or whatever. Like,
I had a kid at Starbucks. I had this shirt on when I was in California, and I was in Starbucks picking up whatever the girls drink, and he said, the kid, he looked like he was 12. He's like, "Oh, I like Star Wars, but that Disney really wrecked him." I'm thinking, the kid was probably like 18. I'm like, really? I was just like, I just want my overpriced hot water, please.
Overpriced hot dirty water.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I've had to deal with this since, I guess, since Zoe started doing her podcast, so 9 years. Zoe and Lizzie have always had to go slightly above and beyond just to get barely recognized because they're girls. It happened when Zoe started trooping in 2007. She would have to prove her Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like she's in a Jawa costume for 6 hours, and then a grown man would start arguing with her. Me and Zoe, I guess that's our I don't know what, I guess it's like a sticking point with us is in when the Clone Wars came out. Zoe was the only one in all the people we knew that liked Ahsoka. And then all of a sudden, these people, everyone loved Ahsoka, and it's just you just kind of roll your eye, like, you know what I'm saying? It's that meme of Tony Stark rolling his eyes or whatever, because no, you didn't. Like Zoe couldn't find anyone that even remotely liked, and she even had a kid that trooped with us for a little while, and friends made fun of him for dressing as Ezra, so he quit. In the years that like me as a parent, I'm like, man, you must be a really bad parent to let your kid quit because some kids made fun of him. But like Zoe needed that, and she didn't have it, and so yeah, I kind of roll my eyes when I see all these people Ahsoka this, and I'm like, I mean, I'm glad I don't want to be a gatekeeper. You can come late, but don't tell me you liked her from because even the guys who did clone costumes back in the day, they're like, well, I never watched the cartoon, but I thought the armor looked cool. Okay. I don't know who Rex is, but I like this armor.
One of the other things I really love about Star Wars television, especially considering that it is episodic, is we now have a week in between the episodes, and a week, 7 days.
Yeah.
To talk about what we saw, how it connects to everything else, what we think we might see, and trying to connect the pieces. Unlike the movies, even the Disney movies, where it was, a year or two in between them.
Yeah.
Which is unlike from Return of the Jedi to the Phantom Menace, where it was 16 years.
And you didn't know you were getting it.
Yeah, exactly.
At least half of that time you were like, well, okay, this is done.
I mean, we're living in the age where we get an animated series which has X number of episodes.
Yep.
There's a small gap. When I say a small gap, a couple weeks or a month. We get a live action thing, and there's a small gap, a couple weeks or a month, and like this is the we're spoiled with all the riches. I think we've gotten more Star Wars, since Disney bought them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I like the weekly drops. Rural Farmer likes them too. I like them too. Just because you do get to maybe watch it more than once. Because some of those, like I'll be honest, like when they did Visions, I burnt through some of them, and some of them I don't really remember because I sat down and just binged them all. So I still hope they do, with every series, they do some sort of movie theater thing like you and I went to. Or like me and
I would love that.
Like, because it's unrelated Star Wars, but kind of related. I went to see Deadpool, and I just forgot how much fun it is to be at an opening movie theater, opening night with people. It's just,
Yeah, it's an excitement that you can't replicate any other way.
Right. Because they've tried it. Like, you can watch along with people with Disney Plus. That's like,
Well, even with that, you're not getting the scale of it.
Right.
I mean, to see a starship on a screen that's 16 feet tall, or however big a movie theater screen is, or to have the roaring of the speakers around you when you hear a TIE fighter go by.
And you have to pay attention. I think this makes me sound old, but I think watching television at home, which is great, but I hate when people have their phones out and then you have to rewind something because they didn't hear it, or the phone rings. I like it where, look, I'm sorry, unless my house burns down, leave me alone for the next 3 hours. I have to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a commitment to it. But yeah, I hope they do something. I hope they do something like that. Either the whatever. I wish the theater near me still lets you rent the theater, because I would just rent the theater like we did for Book of Boba Fett. There's another TV show. I forgot all about the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, and those are the live action ones. I mean,
Yeah.
Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
We got another season of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Or no, another season of the Clone Wars, so season 7. We have 3 seasons of the Bad Batch.
Yeah. Which is the Bad Batch we never thought would get made, because remember the animatics or whatever came out, and you're like, okay, I guess that's it.
So Star Wars TV, I'm confident in saying it's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And the other cool thing about the television stuff is it gives us the opportunity to explore the spaces in between the movies, explore the spaces either with the main characters or with other characters that branch into the stories. Like, I mean, Din Djarin is a great example of this. When we first got introduced to him, he was literally and figuratively a nobody. He was a faceless character in a suit of armor. We had no idea, what side of the fence he was on, or what team he was for, or whatever. Now we're seeing how his actions connect to the larger story.
Yeah, and almost in pretty much every episode of, especially Mandalorian, but other shows too, you could pick one person out of that and start a whole nother series. Like,
Yes.
you could do a Fennec miniseries. You could do, like the Frog Lady and her people, a couple episodes. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much, because it's written like George did, in the sense that you put a lot in and you don't explain everything.
Yeah, and they just literally just drop you in. You have no idea necessarily 100% what came before or where this is going, and that's why you in order to fully appreciate it, you have to watch it all.
I want the history of the Razor Crest. And I would love to see flashbacks of him when he was working with those idiots that he went to the prison break with.
Okay. So early on in his time in the guild.
Which is awesome with Mando, because that could be made 20 years from now. Like, you don't need the same actor. You know what I mean? For most of that.
Well, and you could do that animated as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be live action. I mean, the animation now is, and I think the animation now is so good, and they've perfected the pipeline of it, that I think it would be, I use the word easy, in air quotes, it would be easy to put that kind of story together in that animation style.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, the Gideon stuff. Well, just that whole Mandalore stuff. There's so much history in Mandalore that they've left purposefully empty.
And I know we've hinted around about this idea in a couple other episodes, but it could be Clone Wars style animation, but it's an each month there's one arc.
Yeah.
So they have 4 episodes, and they're going to tell this part of the story. And then maybe the next month it's 4 episodes on something absolutely different, still in Star Wars.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, you could do. I mean, I am sure if you and I are thinking about it, there's probably way smarter people than us that already have stuff penciled in somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I would, I attempted to share my elevator pitch with Kathleen Kennedy, but I can't find her in any elevators.
Yeah. That's definitely the.
And Dave's not returning my texts, so I've just got to put them out here, through our show to see.
Yeah,
maybe Kristen Baver could get us a.
Well, there's your Christian Baver mention. Yeah, we have to get a pipeline in. I think you and I need a better circle of friends.
Yeah,
is what we need. So
I'm still working to get that 1,977 subscribers. Followers.
How many you got?
Not 1,977.
Less than that? Okay.
Yeah, less than that.
Yeah, we got to work on that.
If Rural Farm Boy would start following me, you got to have one more.
There you go. There, get a follow in there. Rambling Star Wars fan is an awesome show. Well, I say we talk TV to death. We're only slightly over, which isn't bad. Though I think I liked our trooping talk. We might have to reach out to we should try to find random leaders, not leaders we know, of different garrisons.
Well, how about not leaders? Just how about different members?
Yeah, maybe reach out to some members and see what we can do. But I thought that was an enjoyable talk.
Yeah, and it's one of the great things about it is it's an evergreen kind of conversation.
Yeah.
And to Rural Farm Bro put something up in there about the rise and fall of the empire. I haven't read that yet, or seen that yet. So I'll have to check that out.
Did that just come out?
I'm not sure.
It'll probably show up. If it's not in my house, it's probably showing up on Amazon. So
yeah,
Zoe basically just gets every.
I've been revisiting iJedi because iJedi was the first mention of cortosis in the expanded universe, and so I've been listening to that on the audio version of it. So that's what I've been spending the last couple weeks listening to back and forth to work.
Nice.
And quite frankly, I'm surprised that it was a book for kids.
Yeah, well,
like there's an entire chapter in there that's a little racy.
Yeah. Well, that's pre-Disney? That's pre-Disney. Yeah.
That's pre-Disney.
Because I think from what I've read of some of, and I'm not knocking the expanded universe, but I don't think there was quite the checking and editing of where things were. It was like, how much money can we stick in the Star Wars bucket? Okay, then you can write a book.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think the word loins came up. Like I felt a warmth in my loins or something along those lines.
You should get that checked out.
This is not the story that I remember.
Yeah,
but I guess the dark side can be seductive.
Well, they've always said that. So, well, I tell you, I'm going to run us our exit. Ken, where can they find you again?
They can find me the Rambling Star Wars Fan, or they can find me on Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy with Todd and Ken. How about you?
Star Wars Geek Girl, hitting Star Wars family. Look, why is it? Look, Kenix. My name has come up as Kenix again. I am at hitting Star Wars family. Let me change that. I don't know why that's happening now.
And on Instagram, I think I'm under Kenny G1134. I think that's what the one that shows up for the Rambling Star Wars Fan. I got to figure out how to get my Rambling Star Wars Fan Instagram moving and grooving.
Yeah, well, you should connect it to your Facebook, and then you put it on Instagram, and it automatically goes to your Facebook. Then you don't have to post it one place. That's my old man advice for social media. Actually, put it on TikTok. Have TikTok go to your Instagram, which then will go to your Facebook. Then you put it on one, and you get on a 3.
Yeah, I think I have a TikTok, a single one.
All right.
Not counting the ones where I'm tagged in on yours.
Okay. Well, anyhow, so check us out. Check Star Wars Geek Girl. Thank you, everyone who chimed in. Rural Farm Boy, thank you very much.
And there's always John from the Beskar Bucket.
Yes. Check out John's stuff. John is still on his secret mission of life, but he'll be back shortly. Check out him and his dad. His dad does some awesome trooping too. And I'm going to put our outro on and hopefully see you all next week.
And Rural Farm Boy will be with us then too.
Oh, wait a minute. I might be coming back from Batu East next week. I got to look at that schedule because I may be on the plane at this exact time.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
All right. Where's my show isn't clicking.
Starships, but then my Falcon's hyperdrive just slipped. I used to worry about the future, but then I threw my caution to the wind.
respect to my man here, but you ready for the real deal, superstar?
Nothing new. Stuck in this jungle, water. I need a cure to make it through. Hey!